Yes, hello, dear students. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on which time you get to see this very quick video that I think will be useful to quite a number of you for your future, time in the department, if you decide to, but also for some kind of clarity for a few of you who may want to know how you examined if you didn't know already. Okay, so it will serve as a revision, since this will be good grounds to take you on to the other content that we have ahead in the department, the philosophy section specifically. Okay, and even for your life endeavors, if you were to apply these elements and tools in your other disciplines. So I just thought that the 50 marks that you were to earn in your exam for this semester to augment the other 50 that you have accumulated in your continuous assessment. Continuous assessment here includes your interim assessment, which was worth 20 marks, and then the number of exercises, what I would call the marathons that we did in class, the class interactive times, and all that together constituting your 30 marks. We also took note of the fact that some of you had clashes, so you couldn't be at both sessions, which is okay. That is why you would realize that your exam is the real determinant of where you lie on the pass, scale. The exam, which is over 50, is what adds to your continuous assessment exercises to really determine whether you made a B+, an A, a C, etc. Okay, so let's go through the exam quickly. The exam was in parts. I mentioned this in class. Okay, I think one or two. I got one email at least. So people should read the instructions, like I kept stressing in class. You have to read, even if it was never said. The exam's total marks written up here boldly is 50 marks. And then you are told that the whole part one is worth 25 marks. That should tell you, even if you didn't know already, that there should be some part out there that you should look out for. Okay. Now you'd see that the parts are also in sub-section. It was just to help you label your answers and go straight to the point. So let's do this as quickly as we can. 1A, look at the instruction. It says answer all questions in the answer booklet. Answer all underlined for emphasis. All the questions should be answered within the 1.5 hours, and it should be answered into the answer booklet. All right. Now, 1A says using A, B, and C, write a valid hypothetical syllogism with A as the common factor. Common factor, hypothetical syllogism. You know the pattern, but what is the common factor? The common factor is the one that you cross out to arrive at your conclusion. So 2 options here. I said A should be the common factor. What is common to them? So if someone may choose to do if B, then A. That will be the first premise. Then the second one will be if A, then C. Therefore, you can cross out the A and come to your conclusion. Therefore, if B, then C. That's one of the alternatives. Okay. Or someone could do if C, then A. And if A, then B. Therefore, the conclusion will be if C, then A. The point then is, if you don't do it that way, you haven't answered the question. You just don't create your own hypothetical syllogism, pair your own emphasis of which one you want to be the antecedent and the consequent. The question says using A, B, and C, write a valid hypothetical syllogism with A, the variable A, C as the common factor. So it has to be if C, then A. So that A is ending here and when begin the next one. If A, then B. So you can conclude validly, or the other alternative. Also, if you do that, 1A will give you 2 marks. Then 1B, identify the logical constant operational in 1A above by name. It's a conditional. There's no way around it. If you wrote imperative, I would have given that, but I don't think anyone even, implication, material implication. The obvious answer is it's a conditional. That gave you 1 mark as well. Then 1C says, demonstrate the validity of your formula using tree analysis. So if the formula up here was wrong, your demonstration of validity won't count for anything. The formula must be valid first. This one, what we created here, by the rule given to you. If you didn't get 1A correct for the 2 marks there, then your 1C with all the effort won't earn you anything. I think that if you did the deductions very well, I sort of was liberal to give a 1 mark for the effort. But so that would mean that 1A for 2 marks, 1B 1 mark, 1C 2 marks, totaling 5 marks. If you got the 1A wrong, that is, if you didn't get the common factor bit right, it will be wrong. Okay, and then some too, you want to even allow for the demonstration of the validity, but they won't do the validity also right. See that? So then you lose that mark. So here 2, 1, 2. If you got this wrong, you would only earn 1 there for the 5 marks. Each question is worth 5 marks for the part 1. So let's look at part 2. Excuse me, question 2 of part 1. 2A says test for the type of consistency using table analysis. I think these were straightforward. This for 2 marks. If you did it right, you decomposed well. Then test, the second one says test for consistency using tree analysis. Where we are asking someone to use tree and then you decided to use the table, you lost the mark. Because we want to know if you know how to use tree analysis. That is what we want to find out. So you should use that, not what you think. All right. So those who got the A's, all the A's that have been uploaded, quite a number of them, some B, quite a number of B pluses and B's. I just finished uploading C's and C pluses, what have you. I'm now going to finish up with the remnant of visual. Test for the consistency using tree analysis. I'm not now going to go to that, I'm sure you know, but I just know how it was graded. So 2A, 2 marks, 2B, 2 marks. Then this should be 2C. See, 2C came out as a B, but the labeling was okay, so people didn't struggle. Show any assignment of truth values that will make your formula into be consistent. That one will earn you a mark. Okay, so 5 marks there. So question 3 has the same pattern, but this time, look at what I was doing. You see, the rules are testing how you are doing De Morgan, how you are applying negation, how you are interpreting disjunction. They are all intertwined. We did quite a number of the tests for validities during our continuous assessment. So you realize that there was validity here, there were 2 or 3 others in the question. But here, where you are demonstrating rules, we focused more on consistency and type of consistency applied on the table, but also on the tree. That was the rationale for these set of questions. And you see every compound there, every connective, sorry, there. From questions 1 to 3, you will see here biconditional, there's a conjunction here, there's a disjunction here, there's negation. Question 1 is conditional, you see. That's what the questions ought to do. And so those who score their A, you will understand why the A is flowing like that. Okay. Now, question 3 is 2 marks for the 3A if you did it right, thoroughly. Sometimes people will do it right and interpret what they have as maybe consistent when it is inconsistent. In order, you lose that 1 mark and get only 1. So you can check how you prepared when you go through your thoughts. All right. Then B is 1 mark because it is just showing the assignment of truth values. Whilst 3C would rather earn you another 2 marks for it's a decomposition. Let's go to 4 quickly. 4A, if the premise, listen to this question very well. If the premise, he is the boss and he is arrogant, is true, then what conclusion is also true by the rule of simplification? You choose one. Simplification says A and B, therefore one of them, therefore A or therefore B. So here I've given you 2 atomic statements put together into a conjunction. I'm asking you which conclusion you can validly draw by simplification. So you choose one. Someone will say the answer, the conclusion to draw is what? He is the boss. Asa. Another person might say the conclusion is he is arrogant. It's also correct. Okay, that earns you 2 marks, I think. I'll check in a minute. Then 4B says, if your conclusion in 4A above is assumed to be a true premise. So let's say I chose he's the boss. That conclusion, if we were to assume it to be a true premise, what valid conclusion can you draw by the rule of addition? If I chose he's the boss up there as my conclusion, then by the rule of addition, What conclusion can I draw? He is the boss or he is arrogant. Finished. Addition says from one single premise, you can conclude that premise, disjunction, some other statement. That's all. So if I choose he's the boss as my conclusion here, then 4B's question by addition will become he is the boss or he is arrogant. Or even if you wrote he is the boss and you say or, then you bring another statement totally outside of this, we'll still mark you correct. You can't say he's the boss and he's arrogant and expect that that will count as addition. That is not correct. Okay, so that is what we're expecting of you to earn you the mark. Then 4C says, write down the logical replacement. Listen to the question. The few of you who got it wrong. Write down the logical replacement of the negation of the statement in 4A above, applying De Morgan's law. This was corrected in your exam, as I corrected. The statement in 4A above. So 4A above is this statement. He is the boss and he's arrogant. That is the statement. You are being asked to write the logical replacement. It's just the equivalence of that. Of what? That statement's negation. So the negation of he is the boss and he is arrogant. Which rule should I apply to arrive at its logical replacement? You say apply De Morgan's law. So if I have not into bracket, he's the boss and he's arrogant, what will I have? By De Morgan's law. I told you to leave your answer in natural language. Leave your answer in natural, not in symbolic language. You see, the day I told some people, just get used to obeying simple rules so that your life will be easier. This is an exam. And the course is elements of formal logic. The simple elements that guide formal. Formal means rule-bound logic, not inductive logic, not practical logic, if you like, but formal one, rule-based. So if you do not like to obey rules, simple rules, you won't get this course. You see, knock once and enter. Suppose you're entering an office and that is what has been placed there. Knock once and enter. Then the student is behind the door. Boom, 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 boom. You see? And it's complaining this place. When you come, you knock and knock and nobody will be. But what they write in front there? Knock once and enter. Because for all you know, that's a recording studio. So if you knock more than once, you may even obstruct a session going on. Or they are recording or they are running a live show or something. So why won't you just read the instruction and then keep to it? People don't want that. All right. So we said leave your answer in natural language. And just to keep you, I mean, some scored 49 over 50. 48.5 over 50. These are not controversial answers that we have to even go and check rulings. It's just straightforward. See that. Leave your answer in natural language. So this will become, he is not the boss. We are applying De Morgan's law. If we had negation into bracket, P conjunction Q by De Morgan, it will become not P disjunction, not Q, because the negation will also affect the conjunction and the conjunction will now become a disjunction. That's all that we are going to do. But this time, we want to leave our answer in natural language. Some left it in symbolic language. So I think they got 1 mark out of the 2 or so. If it's 1.5, then they will get 1, not the full mark. See that? Meanwhile, they know it and they are very confident they know. So they're expecting a 50 over 50. But it comes and it's 32 and they don't understand. So I'm doing this so you will understand what you did in case you fall within that bracket. All right. So the answer then becomes he is not the boss and, the answer will become or he is not arrogant because our original statement is and. Now some magically created their own statement and applied De Morgan. And I'm so sorry. And they expect to get the mark correct. I will mark it and say, wow, but you score 0 for that particular question because look at the question 4C. Write down the logical replacement of the negation of the statement in 4A. He is a teacher. and he's an S, then you expand it. And therefore, the answer is he's not a teacher or he's not an S. Beautifully done, but wrong. Question 5. 5A. So I think that for 4A, either 1.5, 1.52, or 2.2. I don't have my marking scheme here, but the total is 5. We're extremely liberal with you, but we kept to the rules because you have to learn that, at least for a course called Elements of Formal Logic. Question 5A, if it is true that no man is perfect, then what statement is also true from this by the rule of material implication? If you don't know the rule, you can't do this. That's why we got 1 or 2 zeros. Unfortunately, it has to be on record. You have to know the rules. Okay? Copies rules that we work with throughout the semester. So if you were working with us, we're not just sitting at home and hoping that things would have been done online offsite, so you get it done anyway. However, well, I'm sorry, it came out clearly. You see, apply material implication rule to interpret or replace no man is. So let's read it. If it is true that no man is perfect, then what statement is also true from this by the rule of material implication? Now, no man is perfect. It's just saying if X is a man, then X is not perfect. If M, then not P. Friends, that's the answer. So if you want to rewrite that by material implication, then the conditional will now become a disjunction, and then the already not, the antecedent, would now, excuse me, so let me say it again. No man is perfect is if man, then not perfect. By material implication, you will negate the antecedent and change the conditional into a disjunction. That's all. So no man is perfect. Here, I didn't tell you to leave your answer in natural language or in symbolic language. So we had to mark either ways. But the easiest would be to leave it in natural language. If man, then not perfect is what this is. So it becomes not man or not perfect. Anything outside that will be wrong, dear friends. Okay, not man, disjunction, not perfect. That's the answer. If you use symbols, we mark. If you use statements, we mark. 5B, consider the following argument and state which of copies rules of inference has been expressed. If you study, then you will pass. Therefore, if you study, then it implies that you studied and you will pass. That's absorption. No questions about that. Some just did a translation of what is there for us. If it was for 2 marks, we will give you 1. Sometimes we overlooked it. I think some of them we overlooked that. Let's just mark because the question is so clear. I don't understand why you are translating. The question says, consider the following argument and state which of copies rules of inference has been expressed. State it. You are stating the rule itself. Maybe that's how you read it. But you were asking which rule is that. Some will write absorption and then even go further and write absorption rule, the rule itself. So P conditional Q, therefore P conditional, open bracket, P conditional, conjunction Q. And that's fine. Okay, so we let it pass. Then state the law of constructive dilemma. If this one didn't even come, I don't know what you're expecting to come. Look at how many times I stress that in class. I work with you on how to interpret it easily and write it yourself. The voice, whatever sessions that we had, the recorded sessions online with City Campus, which was sent to the whole class and accessible to all of you, had it. Our last session on both City Campus and Main Campus went through this one and absorption because I knew I was going to ask you. Okay, so if you cannot state the law of constructive dilemma, you can't blame anyone for that, my dear. But those who could already see their A and their B pluses and Bs. In fact, even some have also seen some few minutes ago, they've seen their C pluses. Now we are left with C, D, and whatever, because we are struggling to make sure that we bring in all marks that you may have accumulated in some corner to make sure we can get you up there. But if we don't get, then you may have to do a reset, which we don't want you to. Part 2, 15 marks. So if the earlier one was 25 marks, part 1, and this is 15 marks. Shouldn't that tell you that you have a part 3 down there? It should. So you arrange your time. You are a logician or someone practicing to improve on the logic part of you, the logical aspect of you. You have 1 hour, 30 minutes to answer all the questions. This is not a Sakai, what's the name of that thing? Presented in a linear form where you have to finish one before you go to the next. So why would you sit on one and then maybe when you get to the part here, translations, I think a little bit more accessible to some than others. All right, but to translate the following to symbolic logic, then you are instructed to show your dictionary in each case. My dictionary should not have connectives. I said this over and over and over again. We still got some students who magically write dictionaries that have connectives there. Okay. A citizen of Ghana above 18 years must not vote since she is not registered to do so. Since is a conditional, and since introduces the antecedent. So since she is not registered since she's not registered to vote, blah 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 blah. This one becomes the antecedent. This one is the consequent, and there are negations that you introduce both, and you are good to go. 6b. Why is this happening to them? This is not a statement. So it is not translatable into a formal logic. Some just wrote interrogative, and we marked that. But some magically wrote interrogative statement. That's a bachelor who has beaten his wife, his own wife, my dear friends. That can't happen. If it's an interrogative, it cannot be a statement. So you will get it wrong and lose the mark. Each was worth 1.5, totaling 15 marks. Okay. The translations themselves, 1 mark, then the dictionary was 0.5. We eventually even had to overlook the dictionary for most of you, otherwise then you wouldn't score any mark. That's how liberal we were for you to arrive at your 18 or 20 that you are not happy with. All right. Either she delivered a boy or she did not. This is one atomic statement. She delivered or she did not deliver. So you cannot have 2 atomic. It can't be P or not Q or P or Q. This is not P or Q. The law of identity will be broken if you write P or Q. She delivered a boy or she did not. In other words, she gave birth to a baby boy or she didn't give birth to a baby boy. So it's P or not P, whichever variable you choose. That's what it should be, not P or Q. It's wrong if you wrote that. D, getting at least 50 plus 1 is both necessary and sufficient for winning elections. I said this over and over in all our marathons. You will see sufficient and necessary. By conditional. Sufficient only, conditional. Then you can now identify your antecedent by looking at which statement follows the sufficient. If I put only necessary describes a conditional still, but necessary helps you know which one is the consequent. If we say both necessary and sufficient, that is a biconditional, dear friends. You can't get that wrong. This is one of the easiest exam questions I've ever set in my life for elements of formality. Check all the past questions, you'll see. So I'm not surprised that those who took the content delivered to them seriously as much as possible and practiced. That is what the class sessions and the tutorial and all the discussions, follow up, whatever online did to help you practice. Some may have decided not to even attend the session because of some clashes they have or the time doesn't favor them or what have you. But insofar as they were doing their homework, it won't show. The exam will be good and it will make up for the loss. But most of you who were practicing, especially in class, the class sessions we're having and engaging the content and we'll be sending questions here and there, I think it paid off. But those who sat perhaps unconcerned or felt that we'll find some answer when it comes, you were found wanting. There wasn't an objective question for you to choose from and do Lotto, and try your luck. Okay. No serious academic on E now. No serious academic engages in ad hominem tantrums. If you are a serious academic, then you will not engage in ad hominem tantrums. Finito. If P, then not Q. F, all politicians like money only if, I stress this also, also during the last lectures and even during the sessions. But for the last lecture, I told you that we don't, as you see, I don't think any lecturer assesses students to show how they don't know. That is not the rationale. Any good lecturer doesn't do that. You assess students for them to showcase what they have. So for a course that is rule-bound, didactic like this, where the rules, the content is guided by rules, it is in your interest to know what the rules are and stick to them. If I put if, all politicians like money, if all politicians are corrupt, then this side, all politicians are corrupt, become the antecedent, because I said if all politicians are corrupt, then so and so follow. But if I say only if, then what is following here is the consequent. And we stress that over and over again. And those who were particular about even the interim assessment, that was almost like a training grounds for most of you. You can tell from your results that it didn't really matter how well or how bad you did in the interim assessment, because it was an assessment for learning. So check your exam map and check the grade uploaded for you on MIS, and you will know that you should be thankful. It's the exam that really determines where you stand. Like I kept stressing in class. You see that? So if you did well in the exam, where you are seated behind the text, there is an invigilator behind, that's an assessment that you uploaded online. For me, I think assignment 1. How am I able to even tell who did it? Apologies to you, but we respect everyone. Yet, even in the church, the tithes are counted under surveillance and recorded. Offerings are counted because we are dealing with human beings. So my point is, if you did the assignment and you posted online, it is not a real test of whether you imbibed the content. The same with our marathons and whatever. They were good training to assessments to help you to learn. I kept stressing that. So it doesn't really test what you know. But the exam does, relatively speaking, to a large extent, even if there is room for some kind of copying at all. If you copied all the rules on your ties, for example, I don't think any of my very respectful students will do that. But if you did, it won't matter, because the questions are not asking you to just know the rules. Generally speaking, if you did that for 1 or 2, what about the others where you are applying the rules? You should know it. So if you were able to do well in the exam, like you get 42, 43, like was the case when we finished with our assessment, then you are confident that you are ready to move on to the next level. So the other 50 continuous assessment will just be like a cushioning for you, unless you did none of them at all. And for those ones, you'll see the records will be there to show. Then the few class brilliant, inputs here and there now fills up the little spaces at the corner. So some +2 here, +1 for the effort in class, all makes up, adds up to the content you have. Therefore, F will be all politicians like money. This is if politicians then like money in itself, as one of the parts of the statement. Then this one is if politician, then corrupt. So I'm sure you know now. And then the only if here shows that this part, you should be looking on the screen. This part now is the consequent, and this is the antecedent. Both already conditionals on their own. Let's look at G. My mother is neither at the shop nor in a car. This is just a replica of what you did in the I in your class and in your course manual. Check it. The workbook I prepared for you. Check it. You see, it's just a change of labels. I think that one was the invigilator. Yeah, put in my mother. That's all. The frame, the compound, the connectives are the same. How can you get it wrong? We went through it too in class. You go online, you see the answers there. But during our discussions, okay? Then H, a sufficient condition for graduating is both studying hard and obeying simple instructions. Sufficient condition is describing the antecedent. Necessary condition describes the consequence. So if I say a sufficient condition for graduating is both studying hard and obeying simple instruction, the studying hard and is a conjunction, obeying simple instruction, become your antecedent, then graduating becomes what? Your consequence. and you get your full 1.5 mark if you did your dictionary also well. Then we will eat fufu this evening unless it rains. Who didn't hear unless in class several times? Unless it's a disjunction which can be rewritten as a conditional. But here we're asked to symbolize. So you write what you see there, not what it could mean. Disjunction, P or Q, depending on what you called P or what you called Q. Then the last one, you will pass, however, you will not pass. Here again, only one variable. You will pass P, however is a conjunction. You will not pass. So P conjunction, not P. The last part, then I'm done. Part 3 with 10 marks. 10 marks, brothers and sisters in the Lord. People wrote nothing. Using Venn diagrams, demonstrate the validity of any 3 rules of inference. Which ones did we discuss in class? That are straightforward. We did hypothetical syllogism, 3 sets. P conditional Q, Q conditional R, then what? Then therefore you can conclude P conditional R. The P must be the innermost. You just don't label them any ways. You see that? Circle inside, square around the circle, then triangle around the square. So there will be 3 sets, one inside the other one itself inside a bigger set. Now, which one should be the innermost? The first premise, antecedent. The first premise is antecedent. So if P, then Q. That's what you said first. Then if Q, then R. So you can now conclude if P, then R. That means P first. So the smallest set should be the P. Then next to it should be the Q. And then after that should be the R. So that it will make meaning when you say all P's are Q's. So all P's are inside Q, and all Q's are themselves inside R. Then it has to follow, therefore, that all P's are already inside R. Hypothetical syllogism. Some of you did the symbolization well, but you didn't label right. So you have written P then Q, Q then R, therefore P then R, yet you have put your R rather in the inner. You just put the earrings on the foot and the foot rings on the forehead, and it was all scattered, even though you had all the 3. Some didn't do the hypothetical. They don't even know any animal called hypothetical. So they could see 10 marks like this passing by, and they waved at the 10 marks, by 10 marks, by 10 marks. That is 1. If you did that right, you get 3 for hypothetical syllogism. I did for modus ponens. Paul, P for Paul, modus ponens. It is a 2-set statement. When I say all men are bullies, your class rep Enoch is a man, therefore he's a bully. You have only 1 set. The rest are particular statements. All men are bullies. Enoch is a man. Enoch is a particular, it's not a set. I didn't say all these are that again. It was just the first one that said all men are bullies. So all men, the set of men circle will be inside the set of what? Bullies. All men are something. All men are inside the set of what? Bullies. Those are the 2 sets. So circle inside a big square. The circle will be what? Men. The square will be labeled bullies. So the B should be on the outermost one, not the innermost one. There again, the labeling became a problem for some. Then the next thing you have to do is to plot the particular variable. Who is what? A man. You are doing modus ponens. So you plot, if it's Enoch, and you represented Enoch with E. E must be inside the circle. So you have a circle inside a square, both labeled. Then a particular variable that represented your second premise should be inside the circle. That would be modus ponens, correctly represented for your 3 marks. You do same for tollens, but for tollens, the particular variable must be outside of the square. And I think for that, those who did it did brilliantly well. The X of Y or whatever variable will be outside of the big set itself. So all men are bullies. Enoch is not a bully. And not a bully will be outside of the big set. Therefore, you can conclude that Enoch is what? Not a man. If you did that, it will also be valid by modus tollens. And you have represented that on the Venn diagram. If you didn't want any of these 3, you still had disjunctive syllogism that we did in class also. You can plot easily. That one, you must have two separate sets, but the sets join, they meet in the middle. There's an intersection. So a circle and a square. The circle may be Barclays, like I did in class. The square may be Standard Chartered. Then you could have an intersection where it is partly square, partly circle, like a center of a sort, Ortega center of a sort. Partly this and partly that. And the shaded part will be what? The inclusive sense of the disjunction, while the individual other sides will be what? The exclusive sense. P only, Q only, if you like, Barclays only, Stanchart only. The intersection is both Barclays and Stanchart to capture the meaning of what disjunctive syllogism. So if you were plotting for the disjunctive syllogism, I say that Barclays or I say that Stanchart, not Barclays. Which one do you clean out? Which one will you negate? You cross out what it is not. If it is not Barclays, then it means if you labeled your circle as Barclays, you shade off. Some even erased it. But if you erased it, I wouldn't know what you did earlier. So you see, it's better to shade it, but do something to show the negation, negating and taking that one out. And if you took out everything Barclays, it will mean that, remember, you pluck off some part of the Stanchart because they are intertwined with the Barclays. I'm talking about where there is the intersection. It will break off. So the Barclays will know, the other one, Stanchart, will no longer be a whole set if you plug it. Okay, to show you that what is left is now purely the Stanchart. We did all of this in class. I just needed you to plug. People were plotting material implication. It's not even a rule of inference. Oh, so if you did these, any three of them will give you 9, and then I give 1. That is why some still didn't get it correct, but they still got 1 over there because there was an interswore hanging inside. The one who is scoring 0 virtually didn't even attempt that question at all. Very embarrassingly so. Didn't write anything, didn't even attempt that question. So what? So if you have these and you think that, everything this woman has said is exactly what I did, so I deserve more than the mark that I was awarded, no problem. Come to my office and let us see where it lies. Just make sure you come prepared, because if even 3 marks or 2 marks or 1 mark had been given to you that you didn't deserve, we'll take it out, just so that we can all be at peace with each other. I wish you well. Go through them, go through that content. If you plan to be with us and you plan to have a very cogent write-up in any discipline at all that you are in, then you need a good training in how you interpret, correlate, analyze, deduce what someone says. This is a good foundation for you that you will not miss. Congratulations, the generality of the class, and all the best. Merry Christmas in advance. Take care, and God bless you for every effort that you put in. I wish you well.